Alright, so today we're gonna go through a quick six-pack core workout, something you can do anywhere on the road or at home. Luckily for me, this pretty much is home. This beach right here, the beautiful Kalapaki Bay, is only about a 5-minute drive from home. So I'm gonna take you through the workout now. If you're a beginner, start slowly, do the exercises one after the other. Maybe a couple, 3 or 4 sets each. Try to get at least 10 to 15 reps in each set before moving on to the next exercise. As you get stronger, if you're more advanced, then try to do them all in a circuit. Then try to work your way up to doing 4 or 5 rounds through the circuit, then you're done. Before you do any core exercise, the one thing I want you to keep in mind is before you start your rep, to really brace your core. So pull your deep core muscles inwards towards your spine, so belly button towards your spine. Pull your pelvic floor up. So it's almost, taking your ab muscles and pulling them in and pulling them up. Once your core is braced like that, you're ready to start your rep. Alright, so we'll start off with the basic plank, and as I just mentioned, you want to pull your deep core muscles inward toward your spine and upward. Keep your spine neutral so you have a straight line from the top of your head all the way to your hips, and keep your hips high. Now, the main goal here in this exercise is to avoid the tendency for your hips to sag and cause your lower back to sink in or hyperextend. Hold this plank position for as long as you can while again remaining fully in control. Next up, mostly keeping the beginners in mind here, is a basic crunch. So you want to lay on your back, feet flat on the floor, knees bent, and then from there, get your hands crossed over your chest. And I do this to avoid the temptation of pulling at my head and neck, which you commonly see people doing when they're, doing a crunch. And the goal here is not so much to come into an upright seated position, but to instead use your core muscles to help to raise your shoulders off the floor. You want to contract those core muscles as fully as possible and pause briefly in that fully contracted position before returning slowly and in control to the start. Repeat for anywhere from 10 to 15 reps and then move on to the next exercise. Alright, moving on now to what is called a push-up position knee tuck, and I'll go through 2 different ways to perform these, the first of which is really for you guys who are beginners. I want you to get up into the push-up position with your core fully braced and in a very controlled manner, alternate bringing each knee inward toward your shoulder on the same side. So basically contract your core to drive your right knee towards your right shoulder and then alternate bringing your left knee towards your left shoulder using the contraction at your core. Now, if you're more advanced or have a stronger core and you want to engage your obliques, you can do the alternative by bringing your right knee in and across your body towards your left shoulder, and then alternating and doing the opposite on the left side, bringing that left knee up and inward across to your right shoulder. Again, no matter which variation you're doing, you want to pause in the fully shortened, contracted position for a brief moment and then return nice and controlled to the start and continue to alternate until you've done maybe between 8 and 12 reps per leg. Heading now into a reverse crunch, and this is something that's commonly a challenge for beginners, but really just start out with a few reps and then work your way up to a higher number of reps as you progress and get stronger. So to do these, lay flat on your back, get your knees and your hips bent to about 90 degrees each. Place your hands out to the side for balance, and once your core is fully braced, contract your abs to raise your hips off the floor. Pause in that fully shortened position and then slowly in control return to the starting position and repeat. Now you can make this more difficult, at least by a bit, by either holding a medicine ball between your feet, or if all you have is a stability ball, then use that. That will add a little bit more difficulty to the movement. Alright, so moving on now to one of my favorites. First things first, be sure that you have a stable surface to hang on to. This is called the stability ball knee tuck. Now here you have to focus on a few different things at the same time, so it's a little bit more advanced. Number one, you want to keep your deep core muscles engaged at all times to stabilize your spine, pretty much as with all core exercises. But now you really want to contract the outer layer of your abdominals, also called the rectus abdominis. Really, that's a six-pack area, to bring your knees in towards your chest. And now the third challenge is there's a degree of instability provided by your feet being on the ball, and there's a degree of spinal rotation that you need to now resist using your obliques as well. So I'd recommend holding off on these until your core strength has improved if you're a beginner, but I guarantee once you start doing these, you're gonna love them. So we also have some knee tucks, this time in a seated position, 2 variations. They're a bit of a balance challenge, so make sure that you sort of get used to them before cranking them out. The easier variation here is to keep your hands by your sides as you contract the full range from your upper to lower abs simultaneously to raise your knees and your torso off the floor. I want you to hold briefly in that fully contracted position, then return to the start. And if you're more advanced or you want to make this more challenging, as you come down through the negative, you can raise your arms overhead. That provides a little bit more resistance to your core. It's a bit more of a balance challenge on the negative of every rep, just generally a more advanced variation. All right, and finally, I will end here with a real killer, some windshield wipers. Now, what you want to do, lay on your back, get your arms out to the side for stability, raise your legs overhead so that you have an approximately 90-degree angle at your hips, and then with your core braced, I want you to slowly lower your legs to one side, and then pause in that stretch position and use your obliques, contract them and raise those legs back up to the upright position, and then repeat heading down on the other side. Now, of course, if you're like me, you're not super flexible, particularly through your hamstrings. It's going to be difficult to maintain your legs fully stretched out. So if that's the case, I'd recommend just bending your knees a bit and complete the movement from that position. Totally fine. And that's it, guys, for Killer Sixpack core workout here on the beach. Try it out yourselves from home, or if you're visiting Hawaii, try it out at your hotel, or even better, try it out on the beach. As always, let me know whether you found the video to be beneficial by giving it a thumbs up, and of course by subscribing to the channel. New videos are always on the way, and I will talk with you guys soon. Until then, aloha from the beautiful Kalapaki Bay right here in Lihue, Hawaii.